we're doing a Drakkenheim update. Heads up, this is gonna be a lengthy one. Probably not as cool as some of my ones in the past because we are behind. I think it says I last left off on 10. We're now on session 15. We're going into session 15, so I'm 5 of these behind. We also had to postpone a few of our Drakkenheim sessions, which happens occasionally. We can move around each other's schedules, but this is a group that has been going on forever. So those of you who are like, is Drakkenheim over? No, it's not over. And I don't think I could get rid of these folks even if I wanted to. Some of the memories are going to be a little fuzzy. I'm also doing this a little off the cuff. All I have are my notes from, there's copious amounts of notes on here. Like, look at this. This is crazy. Can you see that? No. There, look. I had not enough room in the session summary that I had to go all the way on the side here. We're gotta go off the cuff, not as scripted as usual. Sorry in advance. All right, let's dive in. Who sent you? Demands Oscar Urine. When we last left off, our group had stopped at Reed Manor, and oh my God, can't believe we're still at Reed Manor. Okay. The group kind of hesitates and he pushes, was it the Academy? The Silver Order? Ik says, yes, the Academy. And immediately Oscar Urine tries to shut that down and he tells Ik to get out. Ik is like, okay. And he leaves. He will wait in the foyer. Oscar Urine is just like this ugly, pudgy, sore, spotted man with the sickly, purplish colored eyes. He's got yellow teeth and fingernails, and Morgan definitely makes some snide comments about how urine looks like urine. And that's pretty much the joke for the rest of the session. He probably smells like urine too. Urine says that they can get out if they don't wish to work with him. And Morgan tries to convince Urine that they're actually sent by the Hooded Lanterns, not the Academy. Ik is an idiot. They are wondering where their shipment was. Urine admits that he's been very, very busy. His most recent project will result in pretty much the best potion yet. Something that will prevent contamination for up to 8 hours. Says it will be called Aqua Expurgio, and it will be his greatest finding yet. This perks up Delilah's froggy ears, because remember, she's a frog right now, though she can't say anything. Because she's a frog. We're still, or 2014 rules, not 2024 rules here. He admits that the group might actually be helpful in getting these potions done, and then he could return to making both this new one as well as finish up work for the Hooded Lanterns. Delilah drops her frog form, startling him slightly, and asks, what do you need? She's very suspicious of him. He tells her he needs something called an Eldritch Lily. He had enough for one experiment, but that wasn't enough to continue making this potion. He reveals that the only place they can be found is in Queen's Park Gardens. Delilah wants to know why he hasn't been able to get them himself, because again, she's very suspicious of him. He admits that someone brought him the lily originally, that he didn't go out and get it himself, and that unfortunately getting both beyond the walls and into the deep haze contamination would prove too difficult for himself or his apprentices. I began, as a DM, rolling some dice behind the screen for deception, but nobody caught on that. He offers a deal on his Aqua Expurgio should they get the ingredients, and as long as they also ensure his safety so that he can continue making said potion. He then continues on to say that it will be the best way to prevent contamination moving forward. Morgan pushes this a little further and says, do you have a record of the effectiveness of this potion? Like a recipe or something that we could take to others? Again, remember they are looking for something to take back to the Academy, whether or not that is his head or a recipe or a book. Of course, Urine says, it's all up here. And then the DM rolls a few more rolls behind the screen. Why don't you share it with others? Aren't you looking to help the greater good? Morgan pushes. Urine kind of just laughs outright at this. I do share it for a moderate fee. The greatest good that can come of this place is the research that I do here. Morgan starts pushing him though about the contaminated ingredients in the lantern lantern's last supply. Why are you contaminating their goods then? He gets offended. I would never. I have been busy with research the likes of which you have never seen or heard of in your entire life. Did you know that crystals seem to grow like a fungus? I did. I bet there are even more crystals now than when the meteor fell. But then why are they contaminated? Morgan asks. Are you accusing me of something? Urine demands. No, I just think you should share your research with the Academy and do some good, though. Share with those buffoons who have mocked my research methods for years? No. I will not. You come into my house to accuse me, to force me to work with someone who has no respect for my work. I will not sit here and tolerate that, nor your insults anymore. He gets up to leave. Morgan hits him in the back of the head, because why not? Combat starts. Ik goes first and attempts to silence the room to prevent both spells and urine from calling out. Urine counterspells and does end up shouting for assistance. There are some minor spells and hits that go Urine's way that do kind of minimal damage before he releases a cloud kill spell. This takes nearly everyone down past half health. The DM forgot that the spell affected creatures at the top of the turn. Full round of combat goes where Ik and Zelda try to knock his concentration, and everyone tries to move out of range of the spell. But thematically speaking, the front door was open, and to me, that would have made the cloud kill spell kind of move towards the front of the house, out. Oh, air travels from, smaller spaces to bigger spaces. That's how gas works, I think, science, I don't know. So in my brain, it was moving towards the front door instead of away from urine. It ended up catching urine as well. So when it does move, it not only catches urine, it catches all his assistants and pretty much everybody. When it moves, it does knock out Morgan. Believe Delilah at this point was like barely hanging on, and Zelda ends up firing 3 scorching rays at urine, which breaks his concentration. Yay! And then Delilah brings Morgan back up, but in the process, she kind of lines up with Zelda, and urine sees this as an opportunity for a lightning bolt. Delilah falls, and of course Zelda is barely standing. Morgan downs a potion as Ik tries to silence urine again, but it fails as he counterspells. And then Noct brings up Delilah, but takes a hit from the apprentice and goes down. One apprentice tries to web Morgan in place, but that doesn't work for her. Zelda sends one last scorching ray towards urine, who gets hit by the first one, dodges the second one, but the last one pierces through his chest and goes out the other side against the wall. This shakes the apprentices because they're here because of Master Urine. One calls out that the master is down, and one immediately just starts running. Morgan cuts one down while Ik takes care of another, and they bring their teammates back up. And at this point, after defeating Urine, they level up to level 5. That for us equates to a long rest. And then the party starts checking out the house. Zelda checks Urine's body and the body of an apprentice. She finds some money, and instead of announcing to everybody about her findings, she pockets it. However, she's not stealthy about it, and the entire party sees her do it. Ik looks over the body for some sort of spell book or research notes, but he doesn't find anything, so he asks Morgan to cut off the head of this body to bring back to our dear Academy friends. They do search the room that the apprentices were a part of and find a bunch of different potions after Ik does a detect magic spell. They find scrolls, a cauldron with a healing potion inside, which I have them mark as from Urine's house, who knows why. And then they move into this room that looks like it hasn't been used except for one area. It looks like there's a trail of clean floor where they have been moving in and out of this room. Ik tries to do another ritual cast of the detect magic in this room while Delilah and Zelda peek upstairs. They walk into one of the rooms and find some scrolls and money, which again, Zelda tries to pocket, and Delilah catches her and calls her out at this point. Please remember, Zelda is my young niece, who of course is a little bit of a spotlight hog. Delilah makes a note in her ledger that Zelda has acquired money. Ik completes a spell but finds nothing magical aside from some residue that must have been on someone's shoe as they made footprints to the bookcase. They try to open the bookcase and they find a passageway behind. They all regroup and go downstairs and find a long hallway. At this point, Zelda in the back, Delilah are still arguing about that gold, so Zelda does relent and give that gold back. Meanwhile, Morgan is, of course, getting impatient. Our barbarian's getting impatient. I'm not surprised. She marches up to the first door, slams it open. This, of course, activates a glyph of warding that hits everybody in the hallway. Thank goodness they had a long rest upstairs when they leveled up. Ik says that she should have let him look at it first. He should have used his detect magic to check it. He does continue to check the rest of the room with a detect magic. The lab itself is where they end up. It's a gruesome place. There's 2 bodies laying on surgical tables, old dried blood pooled on the floor. Ik sees this glowing on the back of a chair at the end of the room. On one of the shelves, there's something else glowing. And then, of course, some of the bottles are glowing as well. He tells Morgan to go through the books. He tells Delilah to go look at the potions, and then Noct to check out the scrolls on the shelf. And then he himself goes to the desk to see what is on the back of this chair. Morgan gets annoyed and says, fine. And then going through the books, she finds some labeled property of the Amethyst Academy and she collects them. Delilah finds potions and pockets them in her collection, letting everyone know that she found them. And of course, Noct finds 3 scrolls. He recognizes one, but has Ik and Delilah tell him what the other ones are, and then they distribute those as well. Ik finds a cloak of protection, and he hands it to Zelda, saying she will probably need it. He also finds a book containing all of Urine's research. Inside, he confirms that Urine had discovered that delirium does grow like a fungus. And he also observes that chips of delirium are not as powerful as crystals. He knows as well that his slow exposure to delirium over the years has made him better suited to life in the city, and he no longer needs to leave his new home. Finally, Urine has extensive drawings of an Eldritch Lily dropped off by a half-mad straggler. He notes that combining the pollen and the petals with other rare ingredients might make the perfect remedy against contamination, and the notations for the Aqua Experto formula are hastily scrawled underneath, though it indicates that he will need more lilies to be able to produce the potions for sale. Move down the hallway, they find a doorway, and Morgan steps aside to let Ik inspect it. He reveals that there are faint markings of a lock spell that have been used on this door, but they're not currently active. And they open it up and reveal a horde of zombies. Combat ensues. There's a lot of zombies, but the group kind of fends them off pretty quickly. There are a couple things to note in this fight that I remember. Zelda decided to throw a bottle of alchemist fire she found upstairs. She shouts to everyone to move out of the way, and she wants to hold her action until everybody does. But Delilah, who was right before her, wouldn't be able to move before her next turn. And the group kind of tries to explain this to, again, 10-year-old, that she could just, throw it over their heads and they don't have to wait for them to move. Otherwise, she's going to lose a whole turn. She gets very stubborn about that, and then she ended up doing it anyway, missing the target, unfortunately, and it just doesn't do a lot of damage. The party does a few more things, taking out a zombie or two. Ik and Noct do some AoE moves, one of which, of course, is Turn Undead from our cleric friend, Noct. Most of the zombies fall except for one, and then this one, for some reason, kept rolling high on his undead fortitude, and they knocked him down like 4 times, and he kept popping up. Zombies cleared. They move on to the last room on this floor, which is a strange circle with some delirium crystals. Noct recognizes the statue as one of the demon lord of the undead. Delilah tries to break said statue and fails. They also find like a contact other plane scroll here. And that was the end of session 10. After gathering up their loot, we begin the next session with a final sweep of the premises and finding various scrolls and items that they have to mark are from Reed Manor. Then our group steps outside to leave the manor. They, of course, are greeted by 2 very large undead ogres who, unaware that their master is dead, turn to fight. Our now level 5 characters deal with them pretty easily. I don't even remember all the turn order here. I do remember that, of course, one undead ogre's undead fortitude makes him stand an additional 3 times before they are able to cut him down. Halfway out the city, they turn a street corner and suddenly a giant purplish-hued orb appears in the center of the street. Everyone must make a dexterity save as a gravity tear starts pulling them towards the center. Luckily, they all succeed as the well closes up and disappears, taking some of the items from the street with it. Then they return to Emberwood. They track down Petra in Emberwood and tell them that Oscar Urine is dead and that they will not be able to get any more potions or supplies from them. This is of course bad news, but Petra understands. The group accidentally mentions that they found some books on the premises. Accidentally, because they talked about not sharing this information with the Hooded Lanterns and getting rewards from both factions, but the 10-year-old blabbed. Petra doesn't care, however, and recommends that they take those to the academy as they have more need for books than the Hooded Lanterns do. And she will return to the commander and discuss what to do about the lack of potion supplies. They did succeed on some deception checks about who and why Oscar Urine was dead. They go to the academy, or actually the inn where River is staying, and Ikik tries to pull one over on her, trying to sell the books back to her since they also have Urine's brain. River says those belong to the academy and she would have him give the items back, as that was the deal for the reward they had established earlier. He begrudgingly agrees since he wanted to study the books first, but he also wishes to be a part of this faction at some point, so he concedes. They also deliver the head and keep Urine's spellbooks and research to themselves to dive into later. Later at the bar, Morgan approaches Blackjack Mel. She would like to send a message to the Jackal, the one in charge of the bounty on her head. And she would also like to send a payment to prevent more assassins from coming after her and her friends. Mel agrees to do this favor if she does a favor for him. He wants her to try to get access to a smuggler's tunnel his cousin used to run in a tavern called the Black Ivory Inn. He heard that the inn is back up and running, though he has no clue if his cousin's running it or not. If they can work something out, they'll have easy access in and out of the inner city, and he'd be willing to share that tunnel. Morgan agrees and leaves a note saying that she would love to meet up and give a payment of 2,000 gold pieces to the Jackal. Blackjack Mel agrees to send this along. The party returns to the Bark and Buzzard and pay their next month of rent, which means that I have to keep track of that. This secures that cabin as theirs moving forward. Delilah with Ikik helps set up a rigged safe box to stash their money so they are not carrying it, a whole bunch of gold in and out of Drakkenheim. So they rig a little trap box. Before the end of that session, they do discuss where they're gonna go next because the DM demanded it. They decide that they are gonna go follow up with Hannah. She's making headway on a particular set of spells that she thinks could help them with the contamination. But she would like something super contaminated to test these spells on. So she was asking Noct to go into the sewers and grab some sewer water that they could use. Editor KYLIE here. So this is about halfway through. And I realized I still had 30 minutes of content to continue editing. So instead of trying to barrel through everything, I decided to cut this up in half. So you'll get my behind the scenes, what I think I could have done better in the next episode, which I hope to release next week for you guys. So sorry about the delay on these, and hopefully I'll be able to get them out before next session so that my players can recap what has happened since we've taken a little bit of a break because I was sick and other things happened. Just a quick plug, if you like this content and you want to support the channel, please go join the Patreon. I have a couple tiers there, or you can become a member on YouTube, get a little bit of a bonus here, extra stuff. I don't know, yada yada. I can't think right now. I've been editing all day. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Was I actually recording? I was. That's good.